Okay. In the past few weeks or so, Resident Evil 5 has been released. And you know, some journalists got the game early, like XPlay reviewed Resident Evil 5. I liked their review. I agree with them. I think it got what it deserved. So apparently it got a 3 out of 5. And all of a sudden I go to message boards and I start reading all these people's comments. And most of them are saying that they're wrong, they're biased, they're all these kind of names. They're not biased because when it's a multi-platform game, what are they showing bias towards? I mean, I guess you could say they're expecting a generic game. Well, no, I don't blame them because it's 2009. All the stuff that's in Resident Evil 5 was in Resident Evil 4. You don't need to buy Resident Evil 5 to have fun with it. You just play Resident Evil 4. You played Resident Evil 5. You're in that respect. Story wise, the story didn't really wow me. I'll be honest. I was never a Resident Evil fan, so when the cutscenes were leaked, I'll admit I did watch them all, but um I gotta say for a Resident Evil game, this story was awful, and that's just the niceness I can say about it because it goes from very interesting story from the beginning. The beginning was pretty interesting, but then it gets to the point where you had this sense of deja vu because I sat there and I could have sworn Resident Evil 4 had almost the same story. One bad guy trying to take over the world because he thinks that he's the fit ruler. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Resident Evil 4, Osmond Sadler tried to do the same thing. But now it's Wesker. And another thing that kind of drove me a little bit crazy was that when I was watching the cutscenes, you could definitely tell that they wanted to keep Wesker a secret. They wanted the gamer to be like, "Oh my God, Wesker's there!" But when you saw the trailers, you saw him there, so it kind of defeated the whole surprise that he's there kind of thing. And when that happens, it just kind of dies, and everything else dies with it, and all that suspense. And Capcom did a terrible job of keeping their biggest secret hidden, and I'm not gonna tell you because I'm not gonna be that guy. And it was just horrible. Just watch the trailers, you'll know what I mean. Then play the game. You will be pretty ticked that they had this. And another thing that bothered me a lot was not half the bosses. That's just one boss appears from Resident Evil 4, and I hated that boss from Resident Evil 4. I hated him. It was El Gigante. Now they call him something else in Resident Evil 5. It's the same boss. That's not what I like. It's like going to Super Mario Galaxy, and every single boss is the same one. The only boss I did repeat is kind of like Bowser, but then again, you kill him differently than you did in Super Mario 64. So how come in a game like that they had a different boss? Every boss was different. There's no patterns resembled each other. There were so don't say, oh well, they ran out of ideas or whatever. No, they did run out of ideas poorly. They could have. No, it was just horrible, and you know what? I'm tired of having these huge worms or huge fish attacking. They were in Gears of War, and then there was gigantic monsters in Resistance 2. I don't understand why we need these huge monsters. It's like now we're getting over flooded with them more than what we need. So basically, that's just my little beef with Resident Evil 5, and the fact that everyone thinks a 3 out of 5 is too harsh. The controls are dated. I mean, having to stand still and shoot is just something that should not be in Resident Evil 5 because that's the whole game. And this is through the demo, so I'm talking through the demo, by the way, and it just screams to have moving and shooting because standing there is not helpful. And you can say, oh well, it's always been every single Resident Evil game. Well, we're at a time where they need to change the whole formula of the whole game. Yeah, it was great back in Resident Evil 4. It was great back in Resident Evil 3. You don't need to repeat that because you already got the audience there. Look at Metal Gear Solid 4. They could have kept the same control style, but they changed it because they knew people were losing interest with the old control style, and only the hardcore fans will appreciate it. You don't need to keep the fans happy all the time. You do need to keep them happy, but not all the time. You change the controls, and if they are your fans truly, they would not mind these control changes, because running and gunning isn't a big thing that will ruin a game. It will actually help it, if not improve it. So, pretty much you could say, oh, it's more innovative. The only thing they innovated in there was cooperative, and that's not really innovative, because it was so obvious that right back in E307 when they actually said, oh, we have co-op, it was such a lackluster feature. It's kind of obvious that they were gonna put it that there to begin with, and they just put that there just so they have online, because they knew they would not make enough money without online. I like that terminology there with that, but we don't need it in today's society. I like games that are online, because that means you get a stronger single player and extras and all that stuff. Without online, you get more bang of the buck than what you think. Online is just a mess, and people have been getting many network problems with this game in particular. So yeah, that's well, I'd like to end it. So stay tuned for the next ElectroIdiot Soapbox. Ah.